I did it. I won. This past weekend, I played in Jim Palmieri's 50th American Flying Disc Open. I did not expect it to go the way it did. So I've been getting so many messages from all of you, and we weren't able to film that much. Everything is on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, so you can watch basically my full rounds, all 3 rounds. But Chris and I thought that we would make this little video, put it up for you as soon as possible, just so that we can address a couple things and share my feelings with how I feel about the whole event. So you might have noticed that we have been slacking just a little bit on our YouTube channel. We haven't been putting out our content as quickly as we usually do. We are pretty late with Ledgestone, Idlewild, and a couple other videos that we've filmed. We've just been so busy, and it's all a little bit overwhelming. So we are currently at our Airbnb in Vermont for Worlds, and Worlds starts tomorrow. I still haven't even looked at Brewster Ridge, so that's what we're gonna be doing later today. But let me tell you all about the AFDO. So the first round I was on Chase feature card, so I knew I was going to be getting filmed a little bit here and there. So I was a little bit nervous, but nothing crazy. I was more nervous for the weather because it did not look good. It was supposed to be rainy, wet, and just not a good time. I hate playing in rain. I started off really well. I got a birdie on hole 1, never even came close in practice, so I was super happy with that. And I kind of just felt like I held that momentum through the whole day. I was like, oh, look at that, a surprise birdie. Maybe more of those will come. It was a little bit hard with the rain. The tee pads were pretty slick, and it just made me feel a little bit less confident off the tee. But I played pretty clean, and I finished with an E for the round. So that was rated a 956, and it was good enough for the lead. I was a little bit surprised, maybe not because with the weather, it was harder to score, but I was thinking maybe 2, 3, 4 down would be the hot round. So going into the second round, since I was first, obviously I was going to be on lead card and being filmed. And this was my first lead card appearance, and like I earned it, I got there myself. So it was kind of crazy. It was a crazy feeling being called the leader the whole day, and like when they're calling you up to the tee, like your leader, Chantel Baczynski, was so weird. I was nervous, but it was like a different, excited nervous. It was different than how I usually feel. So I started off well again. I hit that second shot on hole 1 perfectly and got another birdie on hole 1. And that was just like, I was so impressed with myself because hole 1 is so difficult. And so just doing that, I felt like that momentum again. I was like, okay, this is good. We're gonna do a good job today. And then hole 2, I threw a bad drive and I ended up getting a bogey. But in hole 2, the cameras were so close. That's when I realized, like, oh, they're gonna be in my face all day. And I'm not saying like they're close. They're like close, like right here, and they're on your face almost the whole time. So I'm like, oh my gosh, don't make a stupid face or look like an idiot. Even Chris was like, oh my gosh, the cameras are right up in our space, and he was feeling a little bit nervous too. So it was just something that we had to get used to. I didn't get used to it. The whole round, it was kind of just in the back of my head, and I felt like I couldn't focus fully on my shots. But even though I wasn't like fully focused, I was still playing pretty clean, but it seemed like every time I would get a birdie, I would follow it up with a bogey. And I was getting a little bit irritated with that because I'm like, okay, I can throw well and I can putt well, but then I just follow it up and ruin it. I ended that round off with a +1, and that was rated a 944, which kept me in the lead by 1 stroke. So again, I was a little bit surprised that no one was throwing out some really hot scores, but I was happy that I still had the lead and I had another chance. I wanted to get under par. That was like my goal, but I also was still just playing for my par score because that's what I decided to do when I came in, and it was kind of working, so I would just continue that through the third round. So it wasn't until the night before the third round that it kind of started to sink in that I had a chance to win a Disc Golf Pro Tour Silver Series event, and that was really big for me because, first of all, you're winning a Disc Golf Pro Tour event, but also nobody in Canada has won a Disc Golf Pro Tour event yet. So that was just something that was in the back of my head, and I was kind of getting a little bit nervous and like, oh, thinking, do not mess this up, like just continue what you were doing, playing smart. And it was a long night. Like I couldn't really sleep and I was getting anxious. I just wanted to get out to the course and play and get it over with in a way. Going into the third round, I was definitely more prepared for the cameras. I knew they were gonna be up in our space and it wasn't gonna be a surprise. So me and Chris noticed when we watched the coverage the night before that they would sit on you for a really long time, but they would only use a couple seconds of it. So that made me feel a little bit better too. So we get to hole 1, they call my name, say that I'm the leader, and everybody was just amazing. The crowd that followed us made this round so fun, and there was just a big roar of applause, and I almost felt like just so emotional on hole 1, like a little bit of tears were coming to my eyes. It was really amazing. So definitely nerves on hole 1, still a little bit shaky, but I threw a great shot and I was like, see, this is fine. You can be nervous, but as long as you can play through those nerves, you're gonna be okay today. And then I threw the perfect up shot once again on hole 1 to get into the circle for a birdie, canned my birdie putt, and right then I was like, yes, use that momentum once again and just cruise through the course. Something else that was really cool and kind of comforting was Colleen from Canada also was on the lead card, so there was 2 Canadians kind of fighting for that first place and to make Canadian history. And that was awesome. I was like, as long as one of us wins, I will be happy. So I started off a little bit shaky off the tee, but that kind of went away on hole 4. And I just got in my groove and was trying to stay cleaner than the other days. I wanted to eliminate my bogeys and play super clean. That's all I was worried about. And it wasn't until like hole 10 or 11 when I noticed, okay, I'm feeling pretty good today. Like my putts, most of my putts are going in, hitting my lines. It's pretty easy to like stay clean, save my pars. So I think I just kept going off those good vibes the whole time, and also the card was amazing. And the crowd, like I said, like they just made you feel so good. They clapped for everything, and like we just had so much fun. So I feel like I was riding kind of on that little high. Colleen was pushing for the lead. Like she was, I think, 2 or 3 strokes away from me. So that was getting me a little bit anxious because I'm like, Colleen, you better, you know, stop birdieing every hole. And she was getting pretty close. So I think there was 3 strokes between us when we came to hole 16, the little island hole. And this hole is simple on paper, but it is actually pretty hard to just stick the landing. You have OB short, OB long, it's an island hole, and I hadn't made it yet, and I think Colleen had, so that was kind of in the back of my mind, but I finally stuck it. I was basically bullseye, and unfortunately Colleen went OB, but right when that happened, I kind of felt like, okay, I have a couple more strokes to work with because you don't know what's gonna happen on hole 17. That hole is so hard. So once I tapped in that birdie, I felt some relief, definitely. And we get to hole 17, play that hole, and I literally park it for a birdie. And right when I'm parked for a birdie, that's when it all sets in that I'm most likely going to be the new champion. And that feeling is just undescribable. Like, you work so hard for something and it feels like it will never come, and then it just happens and you're not prepared for it. So it was kind of hard to hold all those emotions back, and I'm like, okay, I have one more hole to play, so you better keep it together. So we get to hole 18, we put in our scores, and I'm up on the tee first, and I'm just looking straight down the fairway. It's this tight little island hole, the huge crowd behind the basket, and I'm like, this is like what dreams are made of. Like, it felt incredible to be there. And I just wanted to put my disc close enough for a layup. But instead I threw it and basically parked hole 18 for a tap and birdie for the win. Oh my goodness. It was amazing. I don't even know how to describe my feelings. It was just throwing that shot, that last shot, and thinking about all the shots that I made this weekend to make this possible. and all the practice and all the traveling me and Chris have put into this and all the money, it all finally feels like it is worth it. And I mean, I always feel like it's worth it, especially when we're traveling and meeting all of you guys. It always feels great, but this is just like something that I feel like doesn't get to happen to everybody. It's so crazy to think that I just made like history and I'm the first Disc Golf Pro Tour event winner for Canada. That's just, it blows my mind, and I feel so happy and grateful that I can be doing this. So after I tapped in that final putt, I kind of just like blanked and I didn't know what to do, and everybody like came and ran and hugged me, all my Canadian girlfriends, and it just felt so amazing. And then I had to quickly go and do an interview with Nate Perkins and the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Like, it's all still such a blur of what happened, and like we watched the coverage and I was like, okay, so I did make sense when I was talking. But honestly, I really just want to thank all of you, because I really feel like without you, I wouldn't be here. And getting to meet so many of you, you all came out and watched me. There was like a big, huge line for autographs after at the tent, and it makes me feel so warm inside knowing that I have so many people that believed in me and support me and Chris. And it just feels so good to finally make you proud. Also, of course, I want to thank Prodigy. Their discs have been just flying amazing. And there will be a commemorative disc coming out, which I'm super excited about. They already have this stamp ready. It looks amazing. And I'm just super excited to show it to you guys. But yeah, I have to go practice for Worlds now. So thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!
At 29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again.